Alright, let's do a little bit of Laravel today. We're gonna cd into our documents. Oh, I already have a blog here. Let's see. I'm gonna remove it. Let's create a new one. Awesome. Now I'm gonna open a couple of tabs. Let's go back here. Gonna open it up, and let's see. I'm going to the second tab. Here I'm gonna cd into it. All right. I'm gonna do PHP artisan. Then serve. That way we have the application running, so we can kind of like follow along, see what we're working with. All right, so we're gonna go to localhost, and then 8,000. All right, so that's our application. Like, that's a fresh one right there. Now another thing we're going to do on our third tab, we're going to cd into our blog again, and something that you need to do at the beginning is of an application is decide whether you're going to do your own user contact form and user inputs for creating a user, for verifying emails and all that kind of all that process. If you're gonna do it yourself, you don't have to, but if you are gonna use, for example, Laravel to do that for you, just remember to do it at the beginning of a project. So what we can do here is PHP artisan, and then make, and then auth, and now it already did it. It's that fast. So here now when we refresh, you can see that not much has changed, but we have login and register, and it's already styled with Bootstrap. So we already kind of saw how this works in the last video. And before we start creating users, another thing we need to do, we go back here. I'm gonna go back to the first tab. We're gonna go all the way down here to .env, which is our environment. Here is where we're gonna keep our database connection, because this doesn't get pushed to Git. This doesn't get committed. This doesn't go into GitHub. So it is a safe place to put your credentials in. So here I'm gonna use my SQL database. Database host is okay as it is. The port is the same. We're not using Homestead. So we're going to change the database to, I'm going to name it blog, but you can name it whatever you want. Now on username, I think I did root. Obviously you can do whichever ones you have. And then the password, I think I did for this machine the same. So just remember, whenever you do deploy to an actual server, make sure that your username, it's a little bit longer, it's better, and your password is a whole lot stronger than just 3 or 4 letters. So now we're gonna save it, and that should be it for our connection on Laravel. Another way we can see if this is gonna work, we go to our last tab, and I can do my SQL. So let's just go back to the beginning here. MySQL space -u for user, and we're gonna type our user, space -p for password. We hit enter, and then we're gonna do our password, and there we're on MySQL now. Now we can see what we have by show databases. There we go. Create a database. I think we did blog for it, so it's gonna be create database and then blog, and then we can hit use blog, then show tables. We shouldn't have any, so it's empty. Now we can go back here. Where is it? I think it's database migrations, and here we have a couple already. So another thing we can do on our third one, it's gonna be PHP artisan migrate, and that should migrate our database, and we can see if it's working. I'm not sure on this machine, but we might come across an error, and if we do, I'll just show you how to deal with it. Oh, well, we didn't. So usually if there's a SQL error there, just make sure that you have installed php-mysql. Let's see if I can go to another one. So if you do get an error of I think it says something like couldn't find like SQL string, or some error with PDO, just make sure that you have like sudo apt get install and then PHP and then MySQL. Yeah, so just make sure that you have that, and that should take care of it. But it looks like we did have it, so that's okay. That's good. Now we can do show tables, and you can see we have users right now, migrations and password resets. So we can do select all from users, and it's empty, but in a second it won't be. So let's do PHP artisan tinker, which is an like interactive shell prompt. And what we're gonna do is come over here and see the factories, which is it's a great thing for testing and just kind of like populating your database with fake entries, just so you can see what it would look like, and obviously do test on it. So like right off the bat you get a user factory, but you can always create others for posts, for comments, for tags, just so you can kind of like start playing with it with your application. So we already have this one. That's good. So what we're gonna do here is gonna be factory, and it's gonna be I believe it's app and user class. Let's see. Here we're gonna just tell it that we need 20 of them, and then we're just gonna hit create. And that shows you right there that we have created several new users, 20 of them actually, like we specified. Let's see. It's here. Now we can do the same command here on our MySQL terminal, and now you can see them over here too, so that's good. Now we can see what we have right now available to us in our routes, which is the welcome page, and then the routes, and then we have our home once you logged in. So let's go there. So we're going to register. We'll just do Joe. It's going to be joe@joe.com, our email, and then our password. register, don't save. Alright, so I don't know what happened there, but what you can do when that error happens, let's open another terminal. You can do PHP artisan config and then clear. And that's it. Now, since we're running it here, just cancel out with Control C and then boot your server with PHP artisan serve again, and it should work after that. I think you just thought I was using Homestead instead of my regular connection, so I don't know again what happened, but we registered a new user. We can see it again if we open MySQL again. Alright, so you can see that the next entry here is going to be the one I just did, so it works. We can see that we're going to our home controller at the index method for the home route, so we can go there. Let me just redo it also here so you can see where I'm going. So we have the routes, and we have to go to our home controller, right? So that's gonna be under app, HTTP, controllers, and then here's controller. Now you can see that it has a construct here, which is gonna add the middleware of auth, which is just authenticate the user. Just make sure that the user is logged in, and that the person that's trying to go to that home page is actually registered. We'll go in detail later on all this other stuff that I'm just flying past, but for now, just kind of like the point is how powerful factories and Laravel is together, and just how you can just start creating a really good application with little to no setup whatsoever. So here in the index, we return a view, which is home. What we're gonna do, alright, so here what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our users from the table, the database table. Oh, let's do that later. And just grab them. So yeah, we're just using the query builder here. So we're grabbing all the users from the database table, and we're just saving it to the users variable. And now we just have to pass that along to the view. There's multiple ways to do this, but I mean, the one I'm going to use right now is just this one. Some people use the compact, which is kind of easier, but like I said, there's many ways to do this. Alright, so we have passed all the information we need, I believe. So now we just need to go to our view. It's going to be under resources, views, and here it's going to be home. Now we can see that here we have some bootstrap. We can do the same thing down here. Alright, so what I did here was just created another container so I can put a table in here, and the table is gonna it's gonna have a name, an email, joined at or joined on, so we can display when they created their account, and then we're gonna just loop over our users and display them here. So what we're gonna do is inside the body and do a for each loop. It's gonna have a users as user, and then we're gonna close it. And for each, and now inside here, what we're gonna do is display the information we want, which is gonna be the name, it's gonna be the user email, and it's gonna be the user, and then the time they created their account. So it's gonna be created at. I'm gonna save it, and we can see it over here again, that we got the user's name, email, and then the created at, which is a timestamp. So from here we can go back. I already refreshed it, but you can see now that it displays the names and the emails and then the time, and here's us, the one we created. So you can see it's very cool, very powerful, how we can just create something so fast and with very little effort. So another thing we can do, let's see, what do we have here? So if we want to show the latest user that just created an account and not have to scroll all the way to the bottom, Laravel makes it super easy to do this. You can just chain another helper. It's gonna be latest. We save it, and now we're all the way at the bottom. We refresh it, we're all the way at the top now. Now padding and all that, you can just do something real quick with Bootstrap. I think it was here in the row. If you guys remember, it's let's do a margin of 4. Let's save it. Okay, so it shows the margin that we did here. It's not bad. Let's see what else. So for the joined on, this can be a little bit like what's going on here. I don't know what this is. Another thing that Laravel gives us is Carbon, which just works right out of the box. You do have to like call it here, but makes life so much easier. So we're gonna call Carbon / Carbon parse, and then what we want to parse, and then we can just end it here, and then we're just gonna call on diff for humans. Now we go back, we can see a better output on the joined on. Very simple. Let me see. I think that's pretty much it for now. So you can see how we just did one single line of code here for our database just to grab our users. We imported our database facade, and I think that's it. Everything was just using what we already had. Obviously you can start making your own controllers and your own models and more databases, and then you can always just start using Eloquent, which we can see in another video.